President Trump slapped tariffs on foreign goods. High inflation. That's right. In fact, inflation came in lower than economists expected again today, just like it has every single month this year. We're at 2.4% inflation, just a 0.1% uptick from last month. Far cry from much of the media's fear-mongering about prices that were supposed to be exploding by now, which so far has not happened. Let's bring in David Stryzewski, CEO of Sound Planning Group, who is live at the New York Stock Exchange for us today. David, good to see you.
Great to see you as well, Alicia.
Little change of a background today. So let's talk about the CPI. You called the CPI report CPI lie. Why is that?
Well, I refer to it as CP lie because it actually has no bearing on any individual in the United States' actual expenses. These are just numbers that, the government made up that help to give us an understanding for the rate of change on certain items. They weight things very heavily based upon housing. Not a lot of people are buying a new house or getting a new rent every month. So anyway, there's some challenges with it. So I call it CP lie. I just want to encourage people that they should understand what their own CPI is. But overall, this inflation print was ultimately saying that things are relatively cool. They're not, seriously high. And so I think that things could be a lot worse as we were definitely heading in a different direction. And now it seems like things may not actually be as bad as they, might have been thought up to be.
Yeah, the White House was definitely touting the CPI report today, saying that, not only has inflation not increased, but it has came in below expectations ever since President Trump took office.
That's right. Yeah, so, if you can see what's happening right now, the Department of Government Efficiency, well, it starts doing cutbacks. And so, obviously, that's going to be a big deal. One of the big eaters of our money in inflation is printing. And so when we're printing less right now because we don't have to keep up with the same outflow, that's also going to be contributing. But I don't want us to think that inflation can't come back, because it certainly can. There's a lot of places it's actually showing up in the economy where the Fed just can't affect that. President Trump can't really affect that. But we need more supply-side economics. We need more, innovation. AI will probably have to solve some of that. But ultimately, how can that affect your home and auto insurance? How can that affect the fact that your property taxes have gone up so much? That's looking at like 15 to 20%, depending on where you live.
Yeah, you're right. Energy has come down, gas has come down. Certain grocery items like eggs, poultry have come down, but like you said, insurance, that's still high. Rent, interest rates, still high as well, David. So President Trump, he sounded off on True Social today, again, pushing the Fed to slash rates. Do you think the Fed will finally do it soon?
Well, I hope that they will do it soon. I think that the Fed has been, sort of like, I don't know what to do. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And ultimately, I think that they'll probably pause next week. That's what general consensus says. 60% chance that they're going to be cutting in the following one, which would be July. I think that something's going to show up out of the blue, and that Jerome Powell's willing, ready to be able to make some cuts. But let's just be honest here. If we get a 25% basis cut, how's that ultimately going to really affect us? We need a lot bigger cuts than that in order to get down to reasonable places where people can buy mortgages at a better price. Corporate America can refi their debt, get new bonds, refinance buildings. And we're having to do that with $9.2 trillion here from July to July, 25 to 26. That's the biggest refinancing cycle that we've ever had. So we can't afford to keep rates up this high. But the problem is, if we start cutting, then that's going to bring, the inflation back, because we're going to start, going off to the races here again.
Yeah, there's that. The president said he wants the Fed to cut rates by one full point. That's a big cut. So we'll see if that'll ever happen. Okay, so the Trump administration is also touting trade negotiations with China today. And you say this new China trade deal is about strategic clarity, not surrender. What exactly did we win?
Well, so the clarity here is that the United States actually is a great trading partner. China is a great trading partner, but let's just also note that they have taken some intellectual property from time to time. They have not necessarily, with the Belt and Road Initiative, been upright in some of the ways that they've acquired, different assets around the world, specifically in Africa and South America. And so, there's a number of things that we can understand as a nation, but we have strategic minerals right now, which are really important. We got those magnets. We have 7 days worth of strategic missiles. That's what those rare earths are so critical for right now. And so I think that we've got to, strategically, start mining here, looking for those things here, and getting a much larger percentage of those rare earths, which China ultimately possesses. So that's where the real win is. We have a 10% tariff. They got a 55, and I think that market's going to appreciate that.
Yeah, and they also reopened the student exchange channels, right? And how does this protect American jobs and industries?
I think that American Trust and Industries are, paying attention to the fact that there's been a lot of change. Maybe even since COVID, there's more questions that are being asked or answered as a result of just how people are living life different ideas that have come out. But right now, we have to be very clear and say that, in the United States, we have to have a national revival of understanding of who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it. And, when we start bringing in people from other nations, we obviously want them. That's what this nation's been established upon, this melting pot idea. Here I am in New York. That's literally the place where it's still happening for sure. And we're at a spot right now where, maybe there's some tensions between nations. Maybe there's some tensions between different tribes or whatever. And I'm just hopeful that the political correctness is thrown out, and ultimately we just get the best ideas. It is the best ideas and the real conversations that ultimately win. And so, hopefully we can all, have thicker skin, see one another as humans, and ultimately have a bigger national conversation about ideas like that and so many more that are facing us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Easier said than done, right, David? Okay, before I let you go, the big, beautiful bill, critics say the bill is reckless deficit spending, but you're calling it essential. Why is that?
Well, we've got a time right now where we've got to do more supply side economics. And so here's what's happening. We've talked about this before. Probably the bottom 80% of families in our nation, I'm saying economically, are probably in a recession right now, potentially a significant one. And so if that's the case, then we need to be listening to the fact that they are ultimately... Sorry, my earpiece is having some challenges. They're ultimately... I apologize, and I even just lost my thought here. Sorry about that, Alicia.
It's all right. We're talking about the big, beautiful bill and how it'll help families now, why it's essential.
Yeah, so I like to call this Tax Cuts and Jobs Act 2.0. We need to have, if you're going to go to work and you're going to do overtime, why don't we incentivize those people? Let's encourage that as opposed to say, hey, give me a check. And so no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. You take that second job as a waiter or waitress after hours or on weekends. So this ultimately gives our nation the ability to get those 80%, back to work, getting income back in their pockets here again, and ultimately, improving their financial situation with just a couple of moves. And so as we're looking at that big, beautiful bill, we should also understand that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act have just been extended, and this has created the single greatest opportunity in any of our adult lifetimes to reduce or eliminate taxes on our retirement assets. So we got 5 returns left, and I want people to be very aware that Roth conversions or contributions are things that they should be paying attention to right now, as there's 101 different withdrawal strategies that they need to be considering as they're looking at allocating assets in an efficient manner.
All right, David Stryzewski, CEO of SAN Planning Group. Let you get back to the hustle and bustle of New York. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
We'll talk next time. Still to